Right, pushrod tubes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this so well. Basically, just get a good grip on and just push him home. They just pop into place. All four. And then you want to be looking at pushing the top up. I'm just going to get my torch if I can find it. Push that up so that pops in, and do that on all four. You want to make sure they're sitting up properly in there, because if they catch, you might think you've got them in place and then they don't seal. So when you fire it up, you get a load of oil drips down. Right, the next thing is you get your spring plate, whatever you want to call it. I'll get rid of that torch. Go in where you can get a bit of leverage on your lever that down, push your spring plate up, and I'm in the wrong thing there. It's a burger. And then just basically repeat that process on the other three. and you can line your things up to where you want them once it's in bike or whatever. And that's your pushrod tubes in and sealed. I think next thing I'll do is I'll put the sensor back in the head, and then we'll probably start putting the inlet manifold on. So I'll just knock you off for now, I'll come back. Right, we'll put the temperature sensor in, which goes in this hole here. So just get the sensor, just start screwing it in. And then get a long reach 3/4 socket. And the torque setting for this is 20 foot-pound, 20 Newton meters, sorry. That's your temperature sensor in. Next thing we'll do is we'll start to put the inlet manifold on. Right, so I'll knock you off for now. Okay. Right, I'm going to put the inlet manifold on. Inlet and manifold's been stripped and cleaned, and your flanges, if that's what you want to call them, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I'll do it with the other one. On the flange, as I say, I don't know if you'll see this, there's an F stamped on there, and obviously on the other one there's an R, so you've got a front and a rear flange. And it's important that you put them on the right way around. If you can see there, when they're back to back, they line up. If you turn one round, so as if it was to go on the wrong way, you can see that it doesn't line up properly. So you've got to make sure that you get your flanges, mounting flange, whatever you want to call it, get them on the right way, front and rear. So, that said, grab yourself a new seal. That's the rear, that's the way it goes on, should I say, that's the rear. Put your flange on, and then your seal, as you can see, it's like got a taper, the taper goes to the inside. So just put your new seal on and just sort of push it flush. Once it's on, your flange won't fall off. And then do the same for the front. Grab your new seal. Right, and once you've got your flanges on, you can actually start bolting it in. I've got these a bit out of line. Just start your bolts in, but don't get carried away and tighten them up, because you want to be lining stuff up. put your rear two in as well. As you're tightening your flanges down, you've got to sort of try and be equal on each side, because you have got a bit of side to side, like front to back movement on the manifold, and if you can, you want to try and keep it as central as possible. So what I'll do is I'll get the throttle body, we'll get that bolted on, and then I'll get me backing plate off my air filter, and we'll put that on and we'll get it all lined up. So I'll knock you off for now. Right, I've got the throttle body, put a new O-ring in it, just put a little tiny smear of oil on it, 2 screw holes, just line your throttle body up. Right, that's your throttle body sat on. As you can see, it's all moving about. What I'll do next is, if you've watched these videos from the beginning, you'll know that I've got an S&S teardrop filter on this, and there's like a spacer plate, adapter plate, whatever, and your breather bolts and stuff to go in. So we'll get set up to put these in next, and we'll slowly build it up until we've got the back plate on, and that'll hold everything in line nice and tight. Once I'm at that stage, then I'll tighten down the manifold, and it'll be all in centralised position. Right, so I'll just knock you off for a minute and we'll get some other parts. Right, I'm going to fit this adapter plate on, and with that, when I can find it, right, new gasket, and the adapter plate. So you get your new gasket lined up. Get yourself one of the bolts. I've already put a dab of blue Loctite on these bolts as well. The torque settings for these bolts is 6 foot-pound, whereas my torque wrench doesn't start till we get to 10. I'll just nip them up. Right, once you've got your adapter plate on, you're going to be putting your breather bolts in. So I'll get the breather bolts and a new sealing washer. The new washer goes behind each one of these. I'll get the bolt. Now, on the bolt, I put a bit of thread sealer, just purely because it's an oil wear, and it just stops any seepage past the threads. You don't need a massive amount on. Right, let's get a new washer lined up. Right, I'll just knock you off for a second because I think I've lost a washer. I'll come back in a minute. Right, back again. What it is, there's a washer goes behind this nut when it goes through this bit. You have a washer on both sides, and I couldn't see it on this one, but it was there, I just couldn't see it. So we'll get onto that one. That's why I couldn't see it, but it was already on there. It's the same as what was on that one. So I'll put a bit of sealer on this one. Grab the washer. Right, and these bolts get torqued down to 16 foot-pound. But I need to hold it with something. Sometimes when you're tightening these, the oil weigh turns with it. Might be lucky this time and get away with it. Now everything's still loose, And then the next bit is installing the back plate, but I've got to clean some gasket. I've just realised there's still some gasket stuck to this and I haven't cleaned it, so I'll just knock it off for now. I'll be back in a minute. Right, clean the gasket up and put a fresh gasket on, screw through to hold it in place. Just nip these up. I haven't put any Loctite on these bolts because I'll probably be taking the cover back off well, I'll call it a cover, base plate, air filter base plate, whatever. I'll be taking that back off when before I put it in the frame, the engine in the frame should I say. But just nip it up. Doesn't need to be mega tight. And then you can see where your breather bolts are, and you've got a little bit of movement. Just make sure it's all where you want it. And just temporarily, again, these bolts have Loctite on when it goes in permanent. Just nip it up, just hold it in place. I haven't put Loctite on these as I was saying about them, and I'll be taking the plate back off. That just holds everything where you want it, nice and tight. And now what I'll do is I'll start tightening the bolts down on the inlet manifold. Now don't start off on one bolt and just tighten it up. Just sort of do so much on each bolt, say a quarter of a turn, and then go to the next, like the opposite side, quarter of a turn, and then the same on the back too. And just keep doing that until you've got them down tight. And you'll know when it's tight all the way down, because your flanges on your inlet manifold will be flat against your cylinder head. While you're doing it, just keep an eye on your lines on either side, and you can see, well, you can't see it from there, but I can see from here that the lines, they're equal on each side, which means that the manifold's sitting centrally. And when I've got this tight, I'll turn it round, see if I can zoom you in to show you what I mean about the equal. Tell you what, I'll knock you off a second, I'll set it up in a bit better position.